welcome to Alpha Book Club. I'm Rachel Hine, and this is our online book club for all of you guys, our Alpha community members. Joining me as always is Hector Navarro.
What's up?
Oh no.
The hell
Sorry.
was that?
What? Why?
What?
Do that again.
Just a different energy, because no one would ever say that in a book club. So.
That's
Doesn't
true.
excuse it.
No, it
true
doesn't.
too.
Not at all. But no, sincerely though, what's up, everybody? What's up?
And Maud Garrett.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And I want more of it. Great.
Not offensive though, is it?
No.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. It is going to be a fun one today. I see everyone in the chat is really exciting. If you're joining us for the first time, we are tackling The Gunslinger, book 1 of the Dark Tower series. And whether this is your first time watching the show or if you've been around since our very first book, we want to hear from you. So join us in the chat. Please help us figure out what's going on, dissect all of the beautiful language.
If you haven't read it, there's spoilers.
There will be spoilers, but you can go back and catch up on previous episodes on the VOD on Alpha as well, so you can go back and do previous books we've done, previous weeks. But for now, we're going to get into The Gunslinger because we have so much to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how we're going to fill this in an hour.
That's what people are saying. There's no way to talk about all the tropes and concepts of that section in just 1 hour. But speaking of spoilers, if you guys in the chat, which I bet a lot of you have read all of the books in the Dark Tower series and are super familiar with it, no spoilers on that. We're just talking about the first book, The Gunslinger, even up to this section that we're on, because I haven't read the last chapter yet. We're going to be discussing that next week. And this is my first read-through of the Dark Tower series, and it's my first ever Stephen King book that I'm reading.
Same.
Which is really, that's awesome. That's so cool.
When are this?
Yeah,
What's that?
we did talk.
It's not what we already had this conversation.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, cyclical. Whoa,
Nice to know
time.
you.
Time is
all
a
the same.
flat circle
That's right.
in this book.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Okay. If you're just joining us, basically all you really need to know getting into it is that the Gunslinger, as the most beautiful first line says, if I can find it, which I can't. Well, that's the foreword.
Wait,
The men in black fled across the desert, and the Gunslinger followed. So we have this world, they're in the desert, something has happened, something horrible. Different worlds, different times, different references to modern pop culture. Hey Jude keeps popping up.
Hey Jude, again
and again. And so the Gunslinger has gone through this town. He's told us a story of how he destroyed this town, how he's been chasing the man in black, and now he is with a young boy
Named Jake.
Anyone else picturing Jake Lloyd? Stop.
Now I am. Great, thanks. And now I don't.
And now it's
Now I don't
ruined.
care anymore. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't know who I was picturing. I don't know. Maybe Jake Lloyd.
That's where I was going. Blonde bowl cut. Yeah.
I feel like I was maybe picturing the young version of Anthony Hopkins in Westworld a little
I was also
bit.
doing that because I've been watching Westworld.
Yeah.
Yes, I could see that.
Yeah.
But now I'm picturing Jake Lloyd, and when he gets onto the hand car, he says,
Now
"It's
this-
working! It's working!" That's what he says. Now this is a hand car. That's right. That's what he says, Maud. Oh, it's the worst.
I've just single-handedly wrecked this
ruined
book
it.
for everyone.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
In his tearful goodbye to Roland, he says, "Will I ever see you again?" Ugh, it's the worst. Are you an angel? He goes, "No, I'm a gunslinger."
And you will die.
Oh
my
boy.
God.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we come back.
Can't. I'm sorry.
So we're with that's the end of the show. No, so let's get into the chapters.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
We didn't touch on 2 so much last time because we had so much to say.
Yeah.
Whoops about that one. But in these chapters, like, you really do establish and see the relationship forming between the Gunslinger and between Jake.
Yes.
I nearly called him Luke then.
Luke.
Good Lord, do I need to see Rogue One ASAP. And I love the dynamic that they have between each other. And there are moments here where the Gunslinger just finds himself talking and wanting to share his life story with this boy who doesn't know whether to love him for protecting him and rescuing him or hate him because he's so confident of where his fate lies with this man. Knowing that he will die, he had this like hunch from almost the get-go, but knowing that if he doesn't follow him and be with him, then he'll die anyway. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, and he references, Roland thinks of him like Elaine, who is part empath, and so you feel like Jake is also picking up on, there's so much mysticism happening here. We know that time is sort of out of place. different people can sense things. There's a succubus,
Yeah.
which is
Is that the Oracle?
That sounded
The
like there was a
Oracle.
lot of chafe somehow. He said he was very sore. And I was like, oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
when he had sex with the succubus?
Yeah.
That was also an interesting look.
well, a
this
lot
whole,
of time went by. Apparently, it was like
Ow.
hours and hours.
Ow.
Yeah,
Really?
no-
I don't remember
Yeah.
reading
he
that
basically
detail.
It was
like,
dark when
"That's
he-
gonna hurt for a week.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So what did she do to him?
That was a really weird section. This whole, my take on it is that Stephen King is
Section.
young, and he's like got different ideas about men and women than
He's a horn dog.
Thank you. I didn't want to put it that way, but yes, I have this idea because every female character in this book, like Stephen King will be like, and then the gunslinger had sex with this character. Like, okay, it was an oracle that sure, but why not?
Yeah.
And at one point, Roland just says like, do what you will with me, or have at
Yeah.
me, or something like
Yeah.
that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, at no point did she mention that she had to like have sex with you to do some sort of prophetic
She
vision.
was kind of-
Was she hinting at that?
In the modern day terms, she was gagging for it, I believe the term is.
God. Okay.
But she was very, very like thirsty.
She was thirsty.
Thirsty!
That's the more modern.
Thank you, thirsty.
Yes.
Oh,
She was thirsty.
goodness, do I not know how to talk about this. But, you know, he had to exchange. I know what you want. You were desperate to have it.
But okay.
But then
All right.
we already did. I mean, I
Kind
feel
of.
like
In
he did
earlier
that
chapters,
with
certainly.
Yeah, there is that exchange. But there's also there's
Do not read the Anita Blake series then, guys.
The vampire thing?
Yes.
Is it all super sexy?
I love a
Yes.
good
She's a
sexy.
succubus.
Oh,
I love
cool.
a sexy book.
Marvel Comics made comics of those too, I think.
100%.
Yes, they
Of
did.
Anita Blake. Yeah, they did.
She looks
Yeah.
great. Anyway.
Java Book Geek Girl says, I think the gunslinger saw a lot of his younger
I love
self.
rice. Look, all right.
Java Book Geek Girl says, I think the gunslinger saw a lot of his younger self in Jake / something akin to a son almost. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do
And
we know who's playing him in the movie? Is that
I
in
don't
there?
know. No, I don't. But I think that actor must have been announced, or I think we even saw a picture of him like on like a subway car
This
with.
is gonna be a tough sell for a
Oh.
film
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
so they're bonding and throughout that we have Roland getting this prophecy from the Oracle,
Saying
which
the boy will
is
die.
Yep.
Yeah.
You will have to sacrifice him to get to the man in black.
Yes.
And he goes back to camp knowing this. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then also says that there will be mysterious three challenges. There will be someone who is possessed by the demon heroine.
Yeah, that's right. And he's like,
And-
I don't know what this word is.
Yeah, and that there will be other worlds and other demons. The second is on wheels, and the third is death, but not for Roland. And apparently we don't find out what that is this book, so that's annoying. But I mean, there are 7 of these, so we do. I mean, I'm gonna have to read them all
This
now.
is the show for the next 7 months,
Yeah.
guys. Each month we're just going to do another Dark Tower book.
I mean, we will.
Stephen King, come on down.
Yeah. Oh man, we could, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
Never say never.
Yeah. Stephen, if you're listening.
I want to go back on Java's point really quickly about the relationship that they're having and seeing a lot of his younger self there. I loved the fact that this information about the gunslinger's history and growing up and becoming a man was information that was kind of leaked over the time. And it was
Yes.
really important that Jake was like, how do I become a man? Because like, obviously I feel like my days are numbered.
Yeah.
But getting to know that side of Roland and this challenge that he faced where, I want to get this straight, this man is bonking his mum behind his dad's back, yeah?
Yes, the man in black.
That's-
Or no.
no,
What's the guy's name?
Martin.
Martin. Okay.
So Martin
Is Martin
and his
not the
mum
man
are
in black?
going,
Are they not the same person?
No?
Okay.
I have chocolate on my chin from that.
Okay, continue.
Wait.
And that's how his
What?
vengeance and revenge and anger is really stemmed from. And the fact that he went through his test to become a gunslinger 2 years earlier than the age of his father, who was previously the youngest person to take the test, and he actually wins, is a huge thing.
Yeah, and it feels like there is some sort of kingly blood in his line.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the blood of a god. There was a king. Yeah, the king.
Yeah, of a king. And again, there are all these that I want to get into the timeline later. I want to keep on, but I'm trying to figure out what's happening. That's all. It's hard. But yeah, I feel like Martin is with his mom, and then they kill his father, correct? Or is it just that he's been
Father went away on a
embarrassed?
hunt.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, the mother died. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually dies. Yeah.
Yes, but he kills her, doesn't he? Because this is my favorite thing about Stephen King's writing. He will preface a huge event in such a casual way. My
Yes.
favorite was with Jake, and it was like, and just before, the man, I met the man who was going to kill me, and you're like, whoa, what? Whoa, this is big. And it happened again with the throwaway line of, and then once I killed my mother,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
stop, back up, like,
Yeah.
that's huge. And then it kind of went nowhere with that either. I think Jake's response was, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep. But anyway, like, these huge, big reveals.
Yeah.
And then, so his like, writing is like, phew, ooh, but how do we get there? Well, this is how we get there. Yeah. Which is clever to keep me interested.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think too that while he's telling the story to Jake, you see him sort of paralleling his friendship with the hawk and having to sacrifice David, the hawk, a little bit. And it feels like he's priming Jake for what is about to happen. Because even though Jake says and seems to know that this is going to happen, he's still a boy. He's still afraid. He still wants to learn how to become a man. He's still trying to make choices. You see him try to leave and he can't. He doesn't want to leave.
Oh,
He doesn't want to be by
heartbreaking.
himself.
Wait, yeah.
Heartbreaking scene.
I know,
Yeah.
and you're like, don't go with him.
Those are great observations. Those are
Yeah.
great. To clarify, I was confused because the Man in Black signed a note earlier, Walter O'Dim, and when I read the name Martin, I just thought it was Walter. I'm like, oh, he's the Man in Black, but it's not. It's a different guy. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know what's
Maybe.
gonna
This
happen.
guy feels like he's the time traveler. Like, he's obviously realized that Jake has served a purpose in whatever this is by taking him from one of the worlds,
The Man in Black,
killing him, and then bringing him into this
yeah.
world. That's what I want to know more about, the Man in Black's abilities and how he knows which people play integral parts of whatever this timeline is and how he can take one person from one world and bring them into another. Like, what is that about?
Yeah.
Yes. In the chat, Nino Ray 23 says there's something really Freudian about that passage with the mom, dad, and Martin. Yeah. I mean, a lot of his feelings about women and the fact that he murdered his mom and that he's coming across her and her sexually makes me think that there's a lot of
There's something there.
anger
When he
there.
talks about like the big ball party that him and his friends snuck onto those premises when they were young, and seeing how his father was there, his mother was there, and the man in not the Man in Black, Martin. And he mentions that he hated his father for basically like having her cheat on him. That's
But
what
also
you know.
allowing this man, because he said back then as a child I was watching this man dance with my mother and
Yes.
I didn't understand the dance. I didn't
Yes.
get the dance. Now, like being older, I totally understood every part of that dance. You know, I knew what that meant, and having the father watching, and then once the dance was over, the mother went to the father's arms with open arms, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "It's so obvious that you guys are together, and this is a one big joke." And
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, he's very embarrassed about it all.
Yeah. So a lot of his feelings towards women are, I think, expressed when we meet a female character. And the fact that the Oracle, he calls her bitch, as somebody said. Nino Ray says that. Calling her bitch didn't make it better. So he learns this from the Oracle. And for me, the thing that was really devastating was I didn't think that Roland was telling Jake his backstory to try to raise him or to try to help him. I thought he was doing it because at one point there's a line that mentions he was doing it to avoid the silence, because he knew what was going to happen, Jake knew what was going to happen, and a character who was historically silent himself up to this point in the book, all of a sudden the gunslinger Roland just starts blabbering about his life. And I think he started doing it to try to distract Jake. And I think a moment where Jake said, that was your mother then? Or like response to something in the story for the first time, I felt like that was a moment where that kid got tricked. The kid is just listening, and he's like an attentive listener, and he's trying not to, fall for Roland's trick, I guess. And he's a kid, and Roland's an adult, so the psychology worked out, so the kid responds to that, and then Roland kind of goes from there, and they have a little bit of back and forth. But I thought it was strictly because Roland didn't want to think about, I don't want to get attached to this kid, so I'm going to just talk a story at him and get him thinking about something else until that way will make it easier for me to separate my feelings from him.
There was nervous mumblings, but then from that, when
Yes,
Jake was sucked
we're
into
learning
the
stuff.
conversation,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's when he was like, "I need to know more about becoming, a man." And
Exactly.
so please tell me. And he was like,
Yep.
almost like, "Hey, if this is one thing that I can do right now, this is it." Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't think that he necessarily is conscious of, he's trying to avoid getting close to him, and I think when he's talking to him, he's also not realizing how much he's starting to care, because he
Exactly.
doesn't strike me as the most self-aware person.
Exactly.
So I think too that he doesn't realize how much he's enjoying talking, because even in the beginning of the book, he really wants to tell his story. He wants to tell it to someone, and he finally has the audience for that, and he's becoming more connected with him, even though he knows what's going to happen and what he has to do.
The gunslinger uses silence to promote a story, and then Jake was using silence to get him to spill anyway. And so the thing that was his weapon became almost his kryptonite.
Yeah.
At one stage. Yeah.
I love the world of the Dark Tower series. I think we learned a lot more about it with Roland's youth, but also just traveling through this mountain, traveling through this cool thing of seeing the remnants of a world before. The fact that Jake says, it's like a subway. He's like, what is that? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, but whatever, let's keep going. And they find the railroad, and they were finding this newspaper that disintegrated, and an old like train car person, a couple of skeletons, and they like disintegrate. It
and
was
they talk
fascinating.
about gas though, and gas that used to do that. And so you have the backstory of Roland, which feels again very like Arthurian and very like Legend of Merlin, and I don't know where that fits in. And then you have Jake's world and the subway, and it feels very like post-apocalyptic, like a biological weapon of some sort.
I'm getting vibes of Thundar the Barbarian, which is a Hanna-Barbera cartoon from the 80s, where like it took place on our world, but it was like thousands of years from now, like after an apocalypse. And in the intro, there was a Chewbacca type character who picked up a Volkswagen Beetle. And as a little kid, that freaked me out. I was like, whoa, it's our world, but it's not. It's after this devastating thing. So it's a really fascinating world. Another thing I loved is when Roland describes men who weren't men, a non-man, a not man.
And he's like, oh, invisible.
What was that? Invisible.
Like, if you say so.
He doesn't know that word. He goes, yeah, if you say so, whatever. Like he'd never heard the word.
Loved
But
that little
as soon
bit
as
there.
Jake said that for us, I'm like, oh, an invisible man. Oh, that's cool. There's invisible men.
And the mutants. The slow mutants.
The slow mutants. Yeah.
I pictured. I mean, I know there are tentacles, but it gave me gave me like a Golem or the Descent.
The Descent. Yeah.
Type thing of
Troll type
people who have
Maze
evolved.
Runner.
Maze
Scorched
Runner?
Earth.
Oh, I
Was it
haven't seen or read that
Scorched
yet.
something?
Okay.
Yeah, Scorched Earth. Yeah.
That's the one. I watched it
Yeah.
on a plane once to try and put me to sleep, and it worked. But it's the same sort of thing where it's like, "Mah," and they kind of crawl in the darkness. Very something we've seen a lot, and I'm wondering with the timeline, what was inspired by that, by the Gunslinger book? Because this is, I was like, it's like I've seen this like 19 times. I feel like, or a borrowed version of it.
Yeah.
And we know what came first, chicken or the egg. Was this inspired by something previous before,
Sure.
like earlier than the late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah. I can see that being
and what
inspired,
happened
especially
after.
the slow mutants part reminded me of H.G. Wells' Morlocks from like the Time Machine, like underground
Not
people.
Murlocs.
Are those, what is that? What?
What? You guys?
Merle?
The chat will tell you.
What is, what is that from?
Murlocs.
From what?
World of Warcraft.
Oh, got it. Okay, cool. That's good. It sounded
you
like
guys
you
are
were
with me.
like you were doing an impression of Zoidberg from Futurama, is what I.
Oh,
is what I heard. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Or me vomiting on a Saturday night.
Yes. Java,
Saturday night, not the Saturday night.
not these Saturday night. Java Book Geek Girl says there's something really heartbreaking at Jake knowing what's going to happen, but is too afraid to try to stay or leave and survive on his own. That's right. We were talking about that.
I put myself in that situation with Jake, where it was like, he's just seen slow mutants. He's, faced death twice then. I love that he had no qualms scaling a mountain at all. Like he was actually better than Roland at that. But then, realized he can't shoot. He can't do anything like that. He really can't defend himself. And if it was, I can't. I realized that in a zombie apocalypse, my role will be that I will sacrifice myself to save everyone else. Because they can do a lot more than I can.
No, don't say that.
For reals though. And that's an important,
really
integral
sweet.
part of the group. It is. You have to sometimes do this. Jake knows. Jake knows.
I just figured I would die, but not that I would do anything to help anyone. I just
You'd be
figure
like,
like
"Oh, here's
I'm the
what's
person that
happening."
at the beginning of the movie, you see someone getting eaten in their car.
Oh, and you're
no.
like, shit.
That's me.
No.
Yeah.
No, you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to live.
So this was a very real thing for me when Jake, Jake is like, I will stay here defiantly and I will, survive on my own. And as soon as it starts becoming a reality, he's like, no, sorry,
Yeah,
wait.
so sad.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I would rather die quickly,
Yeah.
like this-ish,
Yeah.
than
I
try
thought
and
that.
figure out and extend this life of dying.
I know. Did any of you guys think for a second that when he was getting grabbed by the mutants and Roland was describing, this is it, this is the moment that I was being told, that Roland was going to shoot Jake in the head?
No.
I thought that as a way to put him out of his misery so that he didn't get eaten. Because
Mercy
Roland
kill.
was describing, oh, these people are grabbing at Jake, for sure they're going to eat him.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. mercy kill. I thought that
And
for
he
a
was mercy
second.
killed before. Ali, boom, boom, 2 in the head,
Yeah.
instinctively and reflectively. I think she was almost dead before he realized what he'd done.
Yeah.
So that would make
Ali,
sense
that's
if
right.
that was like, occurring again.
Absolutely.
And then I think it's that same thing. He goes, oh, I realized too late how close their heads actually were.
Yeah.
But then the bullet was straight through the head of the mutant.
Yeah.
No, he's good at what he does.
He's good at what he does. I also thought that if I were Jake, that I absolutely would have gone with the gunslinger to try, and that's your only course of option to survive.
Yeah.
And the part that that really struck me was that the whole time I'm reading this, I'm thinking the only way that this works is because we are in Roland's head, because Stephen King is allowing us to hear Roland's thoughts and every decision he's making and why he's making it. Otherwise, Roland is a dick. He's a dick. But the fact that we're in his brain and Roland's going, I thought for a second that I could take this kid away, that I would forego chasing down the man in black and just maybe try to raise this kid and teach him to become another gunslinger.
The Oracle, it's not too late. Turn around.
Absolutely.
There's a village over there.
Then I can go after the man in black later, and it
Yeah.
feels like
Or we could go after him together, or he could do
Yeah.
like all these different things that in split seconds he's picturing these different like timelines in this whole life ahead of him. Makes it, and then there's moments where Roland says, I am shocked at how quickly I was able to put him aside, how quickly I was able to shift to have Jake be a character.
What was that one thing that he did? He did one small thing, and then
Yeah.
it was just a shift completely.
He was like, okay, you're not a person anymore. You're
Yes.
just like, you're something in my way.
when he decides to go with him, he says you can stay or you can go, but if you go, we're going to the man in black, and it's like it's that immediate. You're a pawn now.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
You're just part of this plan.
And hearing Roland's thought process about that almost made it like I understood why it went down the way that it went down. I still think he's a dick though for letting him maybe fall to his death. Maybe that's what happened to
Yeah.
Jake, right?
Yeah.
He's like they're climbing cliffs. They
Yeah.
see the man in black. Saying he's like, all
Hello,
right, all right,
hello,
all right.
boys.
Hello, boys.
And like knowing it's going to be Matthew McConaughey as
Yeah.
well.
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually
yeah.
just interviewed him yesterday.
Oh,
or the day
really?
before, and I was just like, and he was wearing black. And I was like, ha 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 ha. But then Reese Witherspoon was there, and I was just like, you're going to be third wheeling of this whole conversation.
You should have been like, so book club, Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Maud.
I had that
You could have just been like, I just read Wrinkle in Time. I'm reading The Gunslinger right now. Can't wait to see
Do
your
you
movies.
guys want to come on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do that at
man.
all.
That's okay.
Instead, I was
That's
just
so
like, let's
fun.
talk about the movie Sing.
Yeah. You play a pig and a koala.
Actually, I did go on a bit of a rant that he's an American koala. I was like,
Oh, is he?
koala is from? He's like, Australia. And I'm like,
Oh, you
I
did
am
good.
from. And he's like, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Yeah.
Koala sounds wrong. Anyway, there you go.
Was the koala, did you see the movie?
Yeah.
Was he born in the U.S.? Did they ever go into that?
Yeah, and there was a kangaroo, and I was like, here we go. And the kangaroo's southern.
Hi. Oh, yeah. I'm a
Yeah,
kangaroo.
Move out of my way. I was
Sorry.
like,
Sorry about that.
oh, I guess,
they have
we're
they
from
have
the south.
they have airplanes in the world of Sing. They can just go to different countries, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
Sorry. I should have grilled him on that. That's all right. No, that's okay.
But anyway, this is far more important. There was something here. Nino Ray said, "What's up with Roland's hypnotic powers?" And I do really want to talk about that because I don't get it. What did he do? That like coin trick where you roll a bullet over his knuckles, and somehow that was so hypnotic that it put
To Jake?
Jake in a trance.
Oh, that's
He
right.
used it to get the information the first
That's
time
right.
because he couldn't quite access the memory, and then he did it again to give him a good night's sleep or something.
Yeah.
But what was your interpretation of that?
I feel like he has some. I don't know if he's maybe immortal. Something I mean, he had an interaction with the Man in Black. He knows something happened with them 12 years ago. The Man in Black has these powers. I feel like something must have happened to change him from the one that we see in his backstory,
Of
because
course. Yeah.
he is so obviously he has all these issues, but there's this big quest that he's on. Time is softening. He's pulling the pull of the Dark Tower. So I feel like it's hard for me to gauge because it is so shrouded in the mystery of what the tower is and where they are and when they are. And that they keep saying time is softening. What does that mean?
Don't know.
It's melting. It feels like it's melting together. I think the Man in Black says it when he's right before when he says, meet me over here in 3 days' time. And they keep doing three for everything.
True. They traveled for 3 days without incident, 3 days without
that was
incident.
the whole chapter.
That was a
There's-
whole chapter,
yeah,
whole
that was-
section.
That was like
Yeah.
As I Lay Dying. There's a chapter by Faulkner, and it just says, my mother is a fish, and that's the whole chapter. Yeah, it's about grief.
Again, when you say his last name, when I say his last name, it sounds very different.
Faulkner.
We'll beg yours. Naughty.
Faulkner.
Yeah, what do you guys think, though? Do you think he's got powers? Like, what's going on?
He has to, and like the king's blood, which was
Mm-hmm.
ancient and died out, was a big indicator for me. And this rite of passage that the boys have to do for their manhood, and that there's like it's the Padawan master kind of scenario all over again, and acquiring the weapons. But at the same time, there's got to be something else.
Like supernatural?
Yes.
Absolutely. In
Yeah.
this world,
But I don't know how.
there has to be magic. There has to be some supernatural element. It may have something to do with the time aspect of it. I love that time is kind of frozen, but still like moving. I love the way that they describe time and how everything's super vague. And when they're in the cave, Roland describes it that him and Jake discovered they were thirsty for light, as you would be for food or water.
Yeah.
And how like that was messing up their own internal clocks, because they're like, we would fall asleep and then I guess wake up and keep walking and then fall asleep, and we didn't know, what was what. So I think that there's a supernatural element to the world. When I first started reading it, I thought maybe this is all post-apocalyptic, and maybe the very Arthurian, Game of Thrones, royal family thing still happens in a future that is thousands of years from now or whatever on Earth, and they don't know that it's Earth, and they find remnants and stuff. But now I'm thinking it's a different
Multiverse.
dimension. It's multiversal. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of different things coming together. And just with my theories about what the Dark Tower is going to be and how little hints that they're dropping in this, I feel like, and we talked about it before, that I am remembering Will Ferrell's Land of the Lost movie, where it's just like a convergence of different things.
Yeah.
But I think that Roland has some magic in him. Whenever I read those sections, that's something that didn't really stay with me. The other aspects of Roland's character stay with me. I'm still not sure if he's villain or hero, like I said when we first read the first chapter, but at learning more about his backstory, I'm like, okay, he's the hero.
The arrogance of the Man in Black, though, made me
Yes.
think that he was the villain.
The Man in Black's the villain?
Yeah. Just
Yes.
with that arrogance, that
Sure.
confidence. And when you're overconfident, it's not usually because, you're set on saving someone, it's because
It's
you're
true.
set on destroying someone.
And right now, the Man in Black is not the underdog, it's Roland, obviously. So
Yeah.
the underdog is the guy that you're going to root for over,
I will
yeah.
talk about what the supernatural thing that I was trying to search for before, which didn't make sense. It's like the guns were normal. The guns were his father's that were shaved down to
Yes.
feel better in his hands. Where do all the bullets come from? Where do the bullets keep coming from? And he's saying it when he's mowing down the people
Maybe
of
they're-
Tull.
yeah.
And he's like seamlessly, and it sounds like this trick or a supernatural thing that he's been taught that comes with
Yeah.
being a gunslinger, where he's peeling off all these bullets, and then somehow
Like
he's like
never
loading
reloading.
them as
Yes.
it's
Oh,
still
cool.
shooting.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's
Gambit-esque.
going to be there's going to be some sort of sequence in this movie where you just see this beautiful, like I have a feeling it's going to be really intricate with the fingers, but he's going to be able to load these bullets as it's shooting it like because when
And just to go
you're
off of that,
57 people, but
just-
there's
yeah.
usually 6 rounds in a gun.
Absolutely.
8? I don't know. I've never held one.
Yeah. You've never held a gun? It's-
I had to recently.
I've been
At a
to a
point,
shooting
I
range.
did
I
not
think every
like it.
human should hold one and fire
I've
one.
committed genocide, so that's something a little bit in video games.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a little bit different. Guns are horrifying.
Like
They're
I've wiped out
terrifying.
No, yeah.
They're terrifying.
I
I
don't like 'em.
respect and understand that power. I don't want to have anything to do with them, but I've gone to a shooting range. And a thing that's really interesting is when they get to the underground subway station and they find little kiosks that are selling stuff, and Roland gets excited because there's guns. He says that somebody filled them with lead. Somebody says that they ruined the guns, and I'm like, now that you just said what you just said, Maud, I'm like,
Yeah.
was he just describing a bullet that what we think is a bullet?
Yeah,
And is
it's
it
not even
something
at all.
else?
He maybe
that's
opens it and was like,
happening?
well, this gun's useless. And now I'm like, well, what are your guns? Yeah, you don't
What's
have
his
it's
bullets?
magic
Magic?
bullets.
We never
Magic
really hear
bullets.
about
That's
oh
cool.
no, he talks about casings, doesn't he? Like the casings, the
Maybe,
shells, the
maybe,
shells are
yeah.
falling.
But now I'm
empty.
like, now it's just a cool energy that pops off. Like he's like, I don't know, something different. Okay, let me. I want to say something else too. I'll go ahead and confess something.
yeah.
I have a buddy who is a big fan of all these. We were having a conversation. He turns to me and he goes, "Do you want to know what happens at the end of the last book?"
No.
And I told him, "Yeah, tell me." And I asked him to tell me. I asked for it myself. It's my own fault.
Masochistic.
And he told me what happens in the last section in the last chapter.
You're not saying it now, are
I'm
you?
not going to. No, I'm not going to. But you're
But
going to
now
throw
I
an
wanna
iPad at
know.
me. But
don't think I wouldn't.
it made
I could
reading this sections very interesting. And it made me want to go back and reread. And it made me, which just to me means that
yeah.
that this series is super rereadable. And I think that's
cool.
I think that Stephen King, and maybe it's because we're reading the revised version that he revised right after he finished the last book.
Which he meant he was able to tie it all
took
in
another
seamlessly.
look at this and kind of tweaked it a little bit or did whatever he wanted to do. I don't know if I'm interested in ever reading the original 1982, like his first version. I don't think so. But reading this and knowing what my friend told me, I'm like, I might want to read the whole thing and then reread this again.
Wow.
Because I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that, of course, you miss, and the more we're going to get into the story.
People are obsessed with this
I love it.
series.
I love
Jessica
it.
Chobot is, Ben Meckler, who's our
Meckler's into it too?
Oh yeah, super
guy.
into it. I
Cool.
know. I know.
What
Yeah.
the heckler, Meckler?
Yeah.
What the heckler,
and
Meckler?
they read it over and over again, and you have fandoms of people who, much like
Sure.
some of the TV shows and movies that we read, this is one of those original like extreme fandoms, like series
Absolutely.
that you can find Easter eggs in, and you can go back and see references to other things.
Is
and
there a
that's
name
really
for the
great.
fandom? Like
Oh.
Firefly
Slingers?
has brown coats. Is there a name? What are they called? Slingers?
Slingers?
Slingers? Is that the name of the fandom for
No, I'm making it up.
for Dark Tower fans?
Maybe it is.
Zoidberg says, yes, Hector. Why would you do that, Hector? Nino Ray. Well, again, I asked for it, and because I was also describing to him my experience reading the book. It's something that I'm not all the way sold on yet, but I'm like, it's so interesting and so well written
Yeah.
that like I said before, I want to wait for this movie to come out. And if the movie does what I want it to do, I'm going to go back and go, I'm going to reread this, and I'll read the whole series and then watch the movie again. And then my buddy was telling me they're planning on, apparently the rumors are a movie, a TV show, movie, TV show, movie. So like a trilogy of films, but TV
not
shows,
6 series in a
seasons that fill in between, and that apparently they're trying to get Matthew McConaughey to be in the show, but they've got Idris Elba like signed. And I was
Wow.
thinking, I'm like, yeah, they've both done television. Television's new now, where that's totally.
Yeah. It's not a cheap.
It's
thing
not
to do.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's so interesting to me. That just made me more excited about the whole thing. So.
One
Yeah.
little thing about Stephen King's writing, though, that it's not that I'm not appreciating it yet, but it's not doing me any favors reading it, is when he'll add characters without any explanation.
And be like, we'll get to them later.
Exactly.
Yeah, like name drops the thing.
Like
I'm like,
this
who's
Susan
that?
character that
Susan.
he keeps
Yes.
bringing up. But
Yes.
it's like, no, this was all about Allie, and we just heard all about Allie, but then Susan, she's so important, but you're not telling me why she's important. So
Right.
why do I retain this, and why is this, important? And I felt like it happened again with his friends. Like he had Bert and Cuthbert, and that was like his best friend, and then all of a sudden all these other names kept popping up, and I'm like, hold on, who's important? Like, why don't you introduce them all, or select the ones that you like? But then, because I'm invested in the friend, and I'm invested in Allie, and then all of a sudden they come secondary to a person who we actually don't get to know at all. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I think it feels similar to A Wrinkle in Time, where we got to the end and we're like, we're clearly just waiting for the next book. And I
Right.
do feel like a lot of backstory, because we don't have that much left in this book. There's one chapter, but it's much shorter
like
than
30
the other
pages,
ones.
yeah.
So I feel like
You're
they're
prepping for not being satisfied at the end of this book.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
have
I'm sorry.
definitely
It's okay.
absorbed like the feedback I've been getting from a lot of people who have read this and super excited about it and love it, and they've read the entire
Sure.
series, is that the first one is not the best. The first one is nowhere near
It's
the best.
Jessica
King says it.
Chobot's favorite one.
I know,
apparently.
which is bizarre too. I asked her
We
which
need
was
to
her
have a
favorite, and
stern
she
word
goes,
to her
the
then,
first
maybe.
one.
Yeah, do we want to talk to her about it next week?
So interesting.
But so have you guys ever seen Fringe, the TV
No,
show?
I want to. I
But I'm a
think
big
I'd
fan
like
of
it.
Lost.
Oh,
You know
man.
this, but no, Fringe is good.
Okay, so Fringe is really good. It starts out as a little monster of the week, but it deals with
I love that.
yeah, and it does that throughout the show better, but it deals with alternate universes.
And the sliders. Keep going.
Yeah, and it's that same kind of idea of if you do something wrong, they either start melting together, a hole opens up in one, you end up. So I feel like that's something that's happening here, where these times are getting pulled together, maybe because of something that the Man in Black did, or because of the Dark Tower, that they're folding into each other, and that's why people are losing their memory and they don't know what.
But
is
they know
to-
who Christ is. Like they were talking about the Bible, and
Yeah.
it seemed like that was a common denominator between all the worlds, and that's what they could bond over.
But not the word invisible.
But exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something
So
we've never
interesting.
heard of.
Or yeah.
Is there like a Dark Tower encyclopedia that anybody came out with after it was
sure.
all said and done?
Hopefully, because I'm highlighting words when I'm reading this,
Yeah.
going, is this because I don't know it?
Yeah.
Or is this because this isn't
is
actually
a word, or is
Yeah.
it a fictional word? Yeah, me
What
too.
the hell is, like, what plant is Timothy?
Yes.
Point to me a plant
Yeah.
called
A
Timothy.
Timothy plant. Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank
that's-
you. Oh, thank God. There
Yeah.
it is.
We brought that in on the set just for you, Ma. That's a Timothy plant.
Hi, Timothy.
Another thing that I noticed was he describes in his flashbacks this like long winter, and they say that it's come to full
Winter is
Earth,
coming.
and things are.
Is that the name of the world? Is it full Earth?
I thought
or-
that it made it kind of sound to me like winter is coming.
Sure.
Huh.
and that something was ending, and so maybe I just feel like there's got to be hopping to other, like this world is ending and something opens up, and he goes something in the desert. They describe the deserts that you go beyond. I don't know if it's like the Dark Tower is like the wardrobe or something like that, or if the Man in Black is slicing his way. Have you guys read? I'm referencing a lot of things, but his Dark Materials.
No, not yet.
Yes,
the
with
subtle knife.
Yes.
Yeah. So
cool.
we should.
That's a great
read.
series.
No, it's so good.
I haven't read it for about 6 or 7 years, so I'm due again.
I read it. I read the 3 of them at the beginning of this year, and it was.
They're great books. They're
So
so powerful.
satisfying.
And when that movie came out, this is proof that a great book with a good cast doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie at all.
But they're turning it into a TV show.
They're not going to have Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman.
No, just separate, like
Golden
BBC,
Compass,
I
right.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real bummer for
Golden
fans
Krampus.
of the book. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I'd see that.
Yeah. Golden
Yeah.
Krampus?
Yeah. What else was yep.
Religion seems to be important. Like, what is the cause? I don't know. Nina.
Oh,
read-
I do. Yes, cool. So, Ka in Dungeons and Dragons
Thank you.
Ooh. Okay.
is what the monk class
Yes.
has.
Yeah.
So when they
It's like their
level
chi?
up, it is exactly that, and they're able to access their Ka, which will give them some sort of extra move, or it will give them a little bit more of something.
That's
but
interesting.
that's the parallel that I kind of had with that when he mentioned Ka. And I was like, surely it's not the same. But the way that he used it, it was kind of a seamless explanation. So I pictured those two kind of meaning the same.
And in the world of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Ki is what they describe. Ki, I think, is the same
Right.
thing. It's like that sort of inner energy
Yep.
that they can focus and then
And-
shoot it to the ground and make themselves fly.
It's
Pretty cool.
Is it based
Got
on
it. That's
Egyptian
the force.
Could be.
mythology too? Because
Ka?
isn't there Ka and Ba is when when they put
probably.
the body, like when they mummify the
Oh,
bodies and
right.
put them in the sarcophagus?
Well, I know that Ra is the god of sun.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm playing him in Smite, and I like it a lot.
Ooh, nice. That sounds really fun.
Oh, it's great. You play
This-
as gods.
This is a great question. Java Book Geek Girl says, I'm also curious as to the significance of man-Jesus. Like, even the familiar religious references aren't how we know them. I love that every time the word and the name Jesus comes up, it's man-Jesus. Like, the word man is in front of it. I'm like, what does that mean? What is Jesus in this world, and how is this character, this person?
Well,
I mean,
it's like man Jesus instead of like God Jesus.
I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
man. Oh yeah, man. Like on
one that
Earth,
actually
Jesus
walked- yeah.
versus
Man
the-
Jesus as opposed to the Kanye West song. Oh, I hope that song makes a reference, makes an appearance too. That'd be great.
Well, it was good Kanye.
Yeah, it was, yeah, sure, yeah.
This just in, Kanye and Kim are getting a divorce.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
saw it on the
We
internet.
have not run out of things to talk about the Gunslinger almost. Can we talk about the end of the 4th chapter and how
Yes.
heart-wrenching it was? Hector, did you cry?
It affected me emotionally for the rest of the day.
Oh.
I read it earlier today, and I kept talking about it. And my
should
girlfriend was
reread
like,
that
I haven't read the book in forever. I can't talk about it with you." But it was heartbreaking, and it reminded me of Gandalf falling from the cliff. And it
but
was
he turned into Gandalf the
right.
White.
So Jake the
after.
White's gonna come back.
Yes.
I got a feeling.
Jake just
when
falls
he
and fights the
fell-
Balrog like all the way down there.
He's died before.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Does
How do
Jake
we-
even, can he die?
We didn't see the body, so Jake is going to make another appearance in the Dark Tower series.
read it.
Do you remember when Jake first got run over by a car and
Yep.
he said, I don't want to remember that again because I could taste the shit coming out of my mouth?
I know, he pooped his mouth. When you die, you poop your mouth. You don't know this, but when you die, you poop your own mouth. Yeah. You go, "Whoa." Just like in South Park.
Like in South Park.
Yeah. Sorry, Mud. That's what happens when you die.
But if he can recall it so clearly and
Yeah.
he was, had crystal clear memory of
So
this
he's
thing as
died
he
and
was
come back,
dying.
and died and come back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
And he was in the 70s. I'm like trying to track time as well. And they reference that it's in the 70s in New York. And we don't really know what era we're in right now. But if maybe he's catapulted to another line and this is the bloody carrot that the Man in Black is just dangling. I don't
Maybe
know.
especially if they're chasing each other throughout the books, and he is this touchstone for him of this important character. Who's to say that the Man in Black's not going to bring him back into another world just when he's maybe about to get the best of him?
Oh, zombie Jake.
That would be good.
Oh,
puppet.
it'd be so sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Oh, here we go. Ooh. All right. Get your tissues out, everyone. The gunslinger's legs carried him in a sudden leap, breaking the paralysis that held him. He took a true giant step above the dangling boy and landed in a skidding, plunging rush towards the light that offered the tower, frozen on his mind's eye in a black still life, into sudden silence. The silhouette was gone. Even the beat of his heart was gone as the trestle settled further, beginning its final slow dance to the depths, tearing loose, his hand finding the rocky, lighted lip of damnation. And behind him, in the dreadful silence, the boy, I can feel it! The tears are prickling up. The boy spoke from too far beneath him. Go then, there are other worlds than these. Then the trestle tore away, the whole weight of it, and as the gunslinger pulled himself up and through to the light and the breeze and the reality of a new car. Was he leveled up?
Yeah. Yep.
He twisted his head back for a moment in his agony, striving to be Janice, but there was nothing, only plummeting silence, for the boy made no cry as he fell.
Tough Jake.
He didn't die. He's accepting.
Right?
It's acceptance. That's not dead. No.
And Zoidberg says, go then, there are other worlds than these. Thoughts on that line?
I mean, I think that this is not the end.
No way. That's insight into something far deeper.
Yeah.
There are other worlds.
And he's remembering so much, and if he is an empath, the fact that he's so young means that he's only, if he comes back, can only develop those sort of powers. It does feel like there's some wizardry going on with the mention of Ka and the mysticism happening. And even, it reminds me of, I'm on a roll, the Dresden Files a little bit, which is like pulp detective fiction with a wizard, where
magic,
I get that vibe from him with the
to read that
guns
too,
too. Oh man.
It's on my list. It's on my
They're
list.
so good. I've read like 8 of them.
With carrying on from Zoidberg 11's Go Then, there are other worlds than these. Do you know what that is? That is, this isn't goodbye, this is see you again.
See you again.
Yeah. That's what
Now, Java Book Geek Girl makes a great observation. I think the boy thinks that this is how the afterlife works. You die and you go to a different world.
That's a
So he
sadder
died in New
version.
York and then came to this world of the Dark Tower.
Yep, where he
So
was
maybe
saved by Roland.
Where he was saved. So he's like, okay, if I die again, I'll go. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is actually maybe he just died.
Nah.
And maybe he didn't make a noise because Nino Ray 23 says it creeped me out that he didn't make a sound. Maybe he didn't make a sound because he does think that he's just going to go to another reality, when in actuality he's just like a tough kid who just falls silently.
He's
and then
always
splats.
seemed wise beyond his years,
Yeah.
and when they were first trekking through the desert, and he wasn't complaining, and he wasn't, if he was struggling,
God,
he
I
was
love
hiding
Jake.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I love him so much.
He was hiding it, and this respect that Roland was having
Really
for him
hit me hard.
Yeah. We remember the chapter before that where the gunslinger was doing the same thing. He was trekking through the desert, and he didn't want to fall, and then boom, all of a sudden his hands are bleeding, and it's like Jake's going through this exact same thing, but so much faster than what the gunslinger was able to do it.
Absolutely.
Respect.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jake's the true MVP.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, it is about that time. Your assignment for next week is just to finish the book. We have one
Finish
more
it.
section.
And choose your favorite passage.
Yes,
Okay.
please. And we are going to discuss the book as a whole, what we think the movie. Let's look up the casting and stuff. We
I
might
will.
have some guests come in who could talk to us about the whole book overall. Maybe we'll see.
Without spoiling, like again, I
know, I'm
asked
worried
I did
about
ask
it.
my friend just for the one thing that he told me, and it really did like put everything in a new light, which is really exciting, and made me excited about the film as well, because he told me, he's like, well, you know what they're going to do with the movie? It's the movie and the show. Nino Ray 23 says Jake comes back with Charles Wallace. That's the crossover book.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah.
I'm amazed, honestly, that I don't know the full ending because I edit posts about it, but they're mostly like excited about and like talk
Sure.
about the premise, but don't go into detail. But
Yeah.
yeah, and so after this, we're looking for our next book. What if we put the second one
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad.
on our list?
I
But
wouldn't be mad either.
you guys get to come up with the books. You get to vote. So each month we pick 3 different books, and we have you guys vote on it. And whatever you vote, we read. So make sure that you're tweeting at us.
Wait, can we do that again?
Whatever you vote,
we read. Get your wrinkle on.
Time to get our wrinkle on, y'all.
So make sure that outside of Alpha, you can always find us on Twitter. We're all 3 of us are on Twitter quite a bit. You can tweet at Nerdist, at Geek and Sundry, at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club with your recommendations, because we gather them all. We have a big list, and we're going to vote on them next time.
Yes.
So excited. So thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so much.
I'm Hector Navarro.
I'm Maud Garrett. I'd like to leave you with this is one sentence.
Please.
This is one sentence.
Stephen.
This is Stephen King's writing. It's so
Stephen.
great. He trailed off, unable to describe the change inherent in that featureless noun, the death of romance and the lingering of its sterile, carnal revenant. A world living on the forced respiration of glitter and ceremony. The geometric steps of make-believe courtship. This is why it took me so long to read this bloody book. Of courtship during the sewing night cotil, and that had replaced with truer, madder scribble-scrabble of love, which he could only intuit dimly, hollow grandeur in place of true passions which might once have built kingdoms and sustained them. That is one sentence.
I know, this is a lofty.
That's not even like
book.
a metaphor or a simile. That's just their words.
It's content.
Lots of words.
Hashtag content.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe Jake is just a tough kid facing death. Ken has burritos. Truly, I've made my peace with it. I'm never going to see Jake again. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, we'll see him again.
I have faith.
Yep, gotta have faith. See you next week on Alpha. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.